That one won't be returned. Kansas City will start from the 20-yard line. So Tony Dorsett, 8,039 yards in his career, number 8 all-time. Larry Zonka is ahead of him. Zonka with 8,082, and it appears Dorsett will pass the Zonk maybe even today.
Well, and the Cowboys have never lost in this stadium when he's had a dominant day, and he's off to a most dominant day today.
What are they, 23-0, I believe, at home when Dorsett has gained 100 yards in a game. Bill Kenney, well, he's going to be under fire. Dallas knows what he has to do. Trailing 27-0. To Carson in the flat. And he gets out to the 26-yard line, bear hugged by Brunig and Walls. Kansas City starting deep in its own end where Dallas has had field position.
And look at how they've had to start their possessions. 27, 26, 8, 20, 11. You know, that kind of field position really makes it impossible for you to open up your game, and makes it even more difficult when all you have is a passing attack to go with. The Cowboys, on the other hand, have started 4 possessions inside of the Chiefs' 50-yard line. One of those on the 32.
Second down and 4. Wide open is Thomas. A little juggling act, and he's turning this one into a nice run all the way to the 46 of Dallas, and a flag goes down.
Oh my. And I'm afraid that Mark Kirshner has made another one of those mistakes that are going to haunt him. He's had his work cut out for him, and I admire the young man for coming downfield. He went all the way downfield to try and block on that play, but then ended up hitting a defender or tackler in the back, and they're going to call a penalty for clipping on him, or illegal block anyway.
That'll be a 10-yard penalty from about the spot where the tackle was made, so Kansas City still will come out with about an 18-yard gain to their own 42.
Illegal block, number 64, on the run. It's a first down.
We'll see if we can follow him. He's in there blocking on Randy White early, and of course they're blitzing, so he trades off there. Now, commend him for this. He gets out of the pack here, and you won't see him again until right at the end of the run. He's gone all the way downfield to try and help, and there he is right there, coming in on Dexter Clinkscale's back, and that's an awfully close call. He's just trying to help downfield.
Nevertheless, a first down for Kansas City. Wide open is Henry Marshall. Marshall with a good move at the 40, 30, to the 24-yard line. And the man wearing 89, Henry Marshall, reminds you so much in style of the great Otis Taylor, who carried those two numbers, 89, so brilliantly in Kansas City yesteryear.
Just a great move. Look at the pressure. Blitz, all-out blitz by Michael Downs. A good job of getting that pass off. Great move getting away from Thurman there, and almost escapes from Clinkscale there. Bob Brunig finally coming down to put the clamp on him.
Marshall, a great athlete, and with his size, 6'2" and 220 pounds, you can see he took on Clinkscale. He thought he might break right through that and go all the way. First down at the 24. This is the best penetration by Kansas City, and Theodis Brown picks up yardage to about the 16-yard line. 8 more. Kansas City trying to get on the board with 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Theodis has been a very productive receiver for this club, as well as an effective runner. In fact, has been their best weapon as a runner since he arrived and was activated. Doing a good job here in this ball game of catching the ball on several occasions, but they do not have the outside speed that they need to threaten this Dallas defense. Dallas has not played the flex defense hardly at all today. In fact, if at all.
Theodis Brown, and again, Kansas City cannot run the ball. Stopped at the 19 for a loss. Randy White chewing up the ball carrier, a -3.
And I've got to wonder if maybe this might not change Tom Landry's thinking a little bit about defense. He's always believed that his flex defense was extremely effective against the run because of the staggering of those offensive linemen. I've always believed that if you have good defensive linemen, they can react as well to the run from an aggressive position head on the line of scrimmage as they can from backing off on the ball. And you've seen the Dallas defensive line do that today.
Kansas City at 4-down territory, trailing 27-0. This is 3rd down and about 5. Almost intercepted again by Ron Fellows. It would have been his 2nd today. Stephone Paige, the receiver for Kansas City. And apparently John Makovic wants to get something on the board. So Nick Lowery will come in for what apparently is a field goal. Don't forget, first camera to follow us, and a feature of friend Bob Kuchenberg, Miami Dolphins outstanding. Stay with us. A very interesting evening of viewing on NBC this evening. Lowery, a 36-yard attempt, and timeout called by Dallas.
They only have 10 men on the field.
Well, that might even it up, but nevertheless, it's 27-0. Nick Lowery has missed only 4 times in 56 tries inside the 40, almost 93%. Nearly automatic. This is 36 yards if Kenney, the quarterback, to hold. Well, missed this one. And a flag is down, and Dallas might be guilty, Michael Downs, of running into the kicker.
That would certainly be a costly error.
Yes, that's the
first
penalty.
down, and it is indeed Michael Downs.
That seems rather foolish when you're leading 27-0 to pick up that penalty.
Well, you don't want to be criticized for a lack of effort. You'd like to come in and try and help.
Oh, he was blocked into the kicker, however.
He must make an effort. He must make an effort, Dick, not to bump into that kicker, even if he's blocked at the line. And apparently the feeling was...
Number 26, defense, automatic first down.
The feeling was that he did not make an effort to get away from the kicker on that particular play.
But in fairness to Downs, you could see he took a pretty good bump, and that directed him right at Lowery. And Kansas City, needing a break, gets one at the 13-yard line, first down.
John Makovic over there saying, well, it's about time.
Right.
We deserve one. Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
6:35 left in the 3rd quarter. Kenney, touchdown. Carlos Carson, his 3rd score of the year.
An excellent timing pattern, and that's a perfect strike. At the end of this play, Carson so excited that he spiked the ball and bounced clear into the stands. But a good move right there. Everson Walls not able to keep up with the speedy Carson. Now watch this football after, he disappears. But that ball went all the way into the stands. Maybe we'll see it from this angle. Perfect pass right over Walls' head. The spike right into the stands.
Into the upper deck. Lowery now to try the point after. So helped by the roughing the kicker penalty. Kansas City has ducked the shutout. And let's see if that motivates them. There's certainly plenty of time. 6:31 left in the 3rd quarter, and the score now reads the Dallas Cowboys 27, the Kansas City Chiefs 7. 18 in 1984, and if you believe in this sort of thing, Dallas has won 2 other Super Bowls. Super Bowl 6, Super Bowl 12, and this is Super Bowl 18, so maybe this is their year again.
They're going to be there. Whoever wrote that sign is going to get a call from their English teacher, too.
Yeah, we could always hire them at NBC. They got the spirit.
They'd fit in.
They got the spirit. Be there. Lowery, will he onside it? Nope. In fact, he hits it short. Fellows at the 11. Out to the 35-yard line. Kansas City tackling the ball. Van Jakes made the stop along with Steve Potter. 24-yard return by Fellows, and he's really returning those kicks aggressively.
And that's what a great return man has to do. He has to just put his life on the line and come aggressively upfield and take whatever presents itself. Fellows dipping a little bit to his left, saw an opening to his right, took good advantage of it, and again, the Cowboys have excellent field position.
Yeah, this, you would think the Dallas plan here, leading 27-7, don't make a mistake, don't give him the ball, and it would figure they'll stay on the ground. And with Dorsett having a big day, yeah, this time it's Springs, and he's out to the 40-yard line, pickup of about 6 yards. Merlin, you played the first time you came to Texas Stadium, and of course the Rams at that time were a a senior team, not a young team like Kansas City. The word used, are you in awe of the Cowboys, their tradition, this wonderful stadium, their records? What was your feeling the first time in here?
Dick, I hated coming here, and I think in part because the Cowboys usually wound up on the long end of our scores here, but partly because this is such a vocal crowd, and this is so much their stadium and their turf.
2nd down and 4. Springs again. And Springs falls at the 42-yard line. Charles Jackson leading the defensive charge. It'll be 3rd and 2. Well, then put yourself in Kansas City's shoes today. A young team. I don't think there's more than 2 or 3 players that ever played in the stadium. The last time they met was in 1975.
Not only have they not had a chance to meet the Cowboys close up and find out that they are real people, they've dealt with them mostly by watching the Cowboys in playoffs and by having a chance to hear the tales about them. But it has to hurt their preparation a little bit. I don't think they're totally intact today in emotion.
About 3rd and 2.5 from the shotgun. That's interesting. And off a blitz. Tony Hill covered by Lucia Smith. Fans wanted a penalty, but the official downfield said it was unintentional bump.
Young man obtained in a trade with the Los Angeles Rams, covering man for man and using his speed expertly. I don't think he bumped him in any way except incidentally. He actually had just as good a position on that ball as did the receiver.
Smith from Cal State Fullerton. His alma mater, the Titans, winning their conference, will be in the California Bowl to celebrate against the Mid-American champion, Northern Illinois. J.T. Smith, dangerous return man, back at the Kansas City 24. White hits up
great
beauty.
kick.
All the way down to the 10. 15, 20. And Smith to the 28-yard line. Tackled by Bob Brunig, getting special duty on those special teams. A 48-yard kick, 18-yard return.
It is Milton to Wabash. Dave Craig from Milton College scrambles and finds Pete Metzelaars from Wabash. Seattle now within 27-20. Not a bad combo. Back to Dick and Merlin.
Well, Dallas had the 2nd pick in the 75 draft, and after Atlanta took Steve Bartkowski, they went for Randy White. All he's done is appear in every Pro Bowl. He's going after 6, 7 in a row now. And he's been dominant again today, but he started at linebacker. And I want to ask you about that, Merlin. Fumble. Was it after the whistle? The ball was down, no gain. So Dallas have to call back Dickerson. He was on his way to the end zone.
Well, Tom Landry hasn't made many mistakes, but I think he would admit that he made a mistake in not letting Randy White move directly into a defensive line position. He was so impressed with the big man's speed that he put him into a linebacking position, and Randy, going from a down lineman to a linebacker, never could make the transition and literally wasted a couple of years out of his life and then had to relearn his skills as a defensive lineman. And of course the results are spectacular since that time.
2nd and 10 for Kenney into the flat to Theodis Brown. But he gets only about 5 out to the 34, where it'll be 3rd down and 5. Dickerson the tackle. The score is the Redskins still dominating the Rams 39-6. So it appears both Dallas and Washington will be 10-2. Denver finds Seattle closing 27-20 the score now. The Broncos in the 3rd quarter. 21-17 Atlanta rallying from 14 down against San Francisco. That play now in the 4th quarter. Those are the late games. Now, Tom Landry can feel the heat of Joe Gibbs and the Redskins. And again, we repeat, as we said at the start of this game, the team that finishes 2nd, Dallas or Washington, they'll be wild card, no home field in the playoffs. That can be deadly. First down catch made by Henry Marshall and knocked out of bounds, but in trying to gain more yardage, they spotted at the 38, and that won't be a first down, I don't believe.
Well, and Kenney has taken a real beating in there today. White lined up on Rush, the center, that time. Rush expected him to go back the other way, and Kenney takes the shot in the ribs. He has not been sacked that many times today, but boy, he has taken a beating. Number 54, Randy White. Play at the end, as you said, Dick, fighting for the yardage, was driven back. Now, if he's driven back from that point and doesn't ever break loose, they'll give him the yardage that he made down the field. But when he breaks loose like that, then he has to get the yardage back.
He had the first down at the 42, but he was driven back and then broke out of the tackle. But by the time he headed upfield, he stepped out of bounds at the 38, and that is short of the first down, as you can see.
Now, John Makovic, what do? You go for it right here.
Got to
go for it. But do you throw the ball or do you run it?
That's right. Running, they've been minus.
They have not done very well on the running game today.
You see John Makovic saying, hey, we had the first down. Doggone it. Stay with it. But Marshall figuring down by 20, you got to go for the possibility of breaking free for a touchdown.
You don't have any choice here, Dick. You may end up turning the ball over, and it puts them in great field position. But if you don't go for it, you don't have a chance to win.
Dallas crowding up on the line of scrimmage. Oh, and Kenney gets the first down. That's been their best play in short yardage the entire game. Bill Kenney using his 211 pounds to drive straight forward for the first down. Miami was the team that spotted Kenney out of college. They picked him in the last round. He was the 333rd player pick and didn't make it with the Dolphins. He was a tight end, as we told you, at Arizona State, a backup quarterback, played part-time, started sometime at Northern Colorado. And he's become really, this is really a Cinderella story. A man, a real long shot to become an NFL quarterback. Incomplete to Theodis Brown, well covered by Dickerson. The finals today in the 1 o'clock games around the country. The Raiders won final seconds, a Barr field goal, 27-24. It was a big day for Miami. Not only did they beat Baltimore, but all the other contenders in the East lost, so Miami improves its position. It was Pittsburgh losing for the third time this year, all at home. Minnesota, most important win, one game up in the NFC Central. St. Louis, they played very well last 6 games. Clobbered San Diego, and Detroit rallying from 14 down, beat Green Bay in overtime. We have the Lions and the Steelers for you Thanksgiving Day, and that now becomes a very important game in both standings. Great throw and a first down if it counts. A flag is down as Marshall hit at the Dallas 47. Everson Walls made the tackle, 13 yards if.
I'm impressed with Bill Kenney. Even without looking at the scoreboard, and certainly
holding number 24 defense penalty declined.
Everson Walls ticketed, and they're kind of picking on Everson today, leading interceptor the last 2 years in the NFL, but he's getting chopped up a bit.
2 minutes and 10 seconds left in the third quarter in Kansas City and Dallas territory. First down at the 48. Back to Thanksgiving Day, 12 o'clock in the East, 9 o'clock. Get up early with us on the West Coast for NFL 83. The Lions only one game out of first place. Pittsburgh trying to protect their lead in first place. Kenney going for it all. He's got a man. Carson, touchdown, Carlos Carson. And another beautiful throw by Bill Kenney.
And the man he was working on that play, number 24, Everson Walls. Down the right sideline. Kenney just running a post pattern, or not Kenney, but Carson running the post pattern, and Kenney unloads that ball perfectly in between the two defenders. Rod Hill, number 25, coming over to help. That's the way Kenney had planned that thing all day long. He said, hey, we're back in the middle of this thing, guys.
They are indeed. An extra point by Lowery will make it 27-14, and we've got 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Carson, a big day. That gives him 58 catches for the year, and he doubles his touchdown count.
Maybe this is the day that these two teams have reversed roles, Dick.
So far, that's been the case. It's been Dallas in the second half, Kansas City the first half, but it's been the opposite this afternoon as Lowery does tack on the extra point, and it's 27-14.
I think we have a similar injury to the one we had on that last play. It looked like someone rolled across the legs of Lucius Smith.
Yeah, I hate to see that. The fans cheered when Smith went down. That's not like the Dallas fans. They seem to be more in tune with sportsmanship.
Hard to tell whether it was because of that or something else on the field. They may have been cheering for Billy Bates and the big play he made.
Could well be. Well, here's a reminder, cheering news for you golf fans. As you know,
he's a character. We had a chance to work a Super Bowl special with Bob last year.
Well, the Dallas fans trying to help out the defense. First down at the 39. Kenney on a draw play. And Randy White wraps up Ken Thomas. That'll probably be the last play of the third quarter.
Dick, one of the things that I've always wondered about, they put Randy White in a 4-point stance in this defense. And I always felt very awkward in that kind of stance. Today, they've let him go out of a 3-point stance, and he has been extremely effective off of the ball. Can't help but wonder maybe if he wouldn't go to Landry and say, Coach, do you mind if I stay in the 3-point stance like that?
I bet he might just do that. That is the end of the third quarter here at Texas Stadium with the score. Other Kansas City players who will not return. We'll give you that after this play. Second down, about 6. Oh, what a catch by Marshall. Wow. He didn't see the ball until it was on top of him and had the presence to snare it at the 46 and a first down. What a play.
This is the kind of drill that a lot of receivers practice, turning and reacting to the ball. But watch this reaction. The ball thrown completely behind him. What great body control as he goes all the way around, almost a 360-degree turn to catch that football.
6 catches for Marshall and 86 yards as they attend to Pearson. Apparently they're going to cart him back to the dressing room. First down at the 46 under a full blitz. It's Marshall again, incomplete. Well, let's give you the injury information. As you see, Drew Pearson, the ankle wrap. We hope it's not more serious than a sprain. For Kansas City, the news also not good. Starting quarterback Trent Bryant, he's out with a groin. Starting linebacker Jackson out with a hamstring. Starting guard Buddy out with a knee. It appears that Lucius Smith is okay, so it could be a costly day for both sides.
Of course, that injury to Buddy has placed a young man who has not played a great deal in opposite Randy White, and that's been a big factor in the lack of success for this offense, but they have begun to overcome that deficit.
Catch by Hancock, but a flag is down. Anthony Hancock making a fine reception, but will it count? Flag down at the line of scrimmage. Check that injury to... It was not Michael Jackson, but Billy Jackson, the fullback from Alabama. He is the man that will not return. Billy Jackson with a hamstring.
You mean Charles Jackson, don't you?
We've got, boy, you know, you were waiting for that.
Was this the Jackson that's on the Jackson 5?
No, that's Michael Jackson.
Oh, I see.
Number 73, offense, second down.
But he didn't go to Jackson State. He went to Washington. Well, but Billy Jackson went to Alabama. Back at the 44-yard line. Enough of this nonsense. Kansas City trailing 27-14 with 14 minutes left in the game. Second down and long. Second and 20. Wide open. Theodis Brown was wide open. Took his eyes off the ball at the 44-yard line. I think he thought someone was coming up to nail it.
The Cowboy linebackers have been vulnerable to the pass. Anthony Dickerson, number 51, one-on-one coverage. Kenney has him all the way and throws a perfect strike. No question, he's just thinking run before he caught the football. Theodis Brown would have had a first down, possibly an even bigger gain had he kept his hands on that football. The defense was spread all the way out.
Instead, it's third down and 20. Here come the Cowboys. Stephone Paige. And the Kansas City receivers are playing acrobatically here in the fourth quarter. One great catch after another.
They are showing us their stuff, and Bill Kenney showing us his stuff too. Feels the pressure. The blitz is on with time to read it. He knows that receiver is going to be out. Hangs the ball out there. He had to throw that ball well ahead of the time that his receiver cut. Stephone Paige gets it right off his shoe tips after doing an acrobatic turn. Big play. First and 10.
Watch out. Here comes Kansas City. First down at the Dallas 27. Randy White made the play. Jones and Jeffcoat finished it off.
The Dallas Cowboys want to dominate you with that 4-man defensive line. When they can do it, they can really wreak havoc with an offense. Today they've sacked the quarterbacks 3 times, but early going in this second half, the Kansas City offense has been able to hold them down. Now suddenly on that play, they came roaring back.
Now the crowd into the game here at Irving, Texas. Flag is down. Nope, no flag. Boy, it appeared that Everson Walls, beaten on the play, got away with a bump. Not with the hands, but with the body as Carson went down.
Certainly one of those situations where an official must have ruled it as incidental contact. It looked like much more than that from our angle. Matt Herkenhoff has limped off the field, and boy, if there's one thing you don't need now, if you're coaching for Kansas City, it's to see one of your offensive linemen head to the sideline. Looks like he's grabbing a hamstring. Jeffcoat's gone to the sideline on the other side.
There's Herkenhoff, the best lineman for Kansas City, and he's holding a hamstring. 3rd down and 16 at the Dallas 34. Nearly intercepted as Kenney flip-flopped one downfield, and Bill Bates was there for Dallas. Let's see if Makovic goes for a field goal. He will. Enough time left, just under 13 minutes, that a field goal successful here would reduce the lead to 10 points. And Lowery has good long range. He's made 7 over 50, and he has hit one this year, 58 yards, his longest ever. And, well, that's the 3rd longest ever. Franklin at 59 and Dempsey at 63 are the only men who have kicked them longer in the NFL. This one would be 51. It's no good.
He did not miss by much on that long kick. Had plenty of range and appeared to just graze the right side of those goalposts. Let you look at it from the end zone. Good job of getting that ball down by Kenney, but the ball just slightly off center, barely missing.
Seahawks are alive. Dave Craig leading the drive, passing to Charlie Young for the touchdown. It's now 33-27 Denver. 4.5 minutes left. Back to Dallas.
All right, thank you, Len. And Seattle, they've done that all year. You don't count them out until you hear the final gun. And the Seahawks still in position to stay in the thick of the race in the AFC West. Herkenhoff, a hamstring. And we'll see what kind of offensive line Makovic is able to put on the field on the next possession. Meanwhile, after the missed field goal, it's Dallas at its 34. Danny White wide open. Dupree. And he is all the way to the Kansas City 38-yard line. Thomas Howard made the tackle. Danny White, from his action, saying, boy, they gave us that one. We got to take that anytime we can.
That's the kind of play that probably was called down from upstairs. Probably noticed that when they rolled it back to the far side of the field, no one was staying out there on the second tight end. Billy Joe all by himself on that play, and of course Danny White doing a good job of getting it to him. And that's one of the things a veteran team can do. One of the things these Cowboys can do so well is react offensively and defensively to what's happening on the field.
28 yards on that play. White right back the same spot, and Tony Hill with a catch at the 33-yard line. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys and the National Football League is prohibited. Minutes and 35 seconds remaining. Dallas leading 27-0. Now it's 27-14. Dorsett has outrushed Kansas City as a team by a considerable amount. On 2nd and 5, he's to the 30-yard line. Dorsett has had a big day today. A couple of touchdown runs, both from fairly long range. One of 32 yards. The other 28. He's gone over the 8,000-yard mark. He has again gone over the 1,000-yard mark in a single season. He just has been a superb player, and what a weapon for this Dallas team.
Word now from the Kansas City bench that Matt Herkenhoff will not return to the lineup. That means that they have lost the whole left side of that starting line. Brad Budde out earlier, and now Herkenhoff out of the lineup. They'd already had to replace their right guard. 3 of the 5 positions now manned by new players.
Danny White. Tony Hill. Almost fumbled at the 26-yard line. It'll be a first down for Dallas.
Right now, if you're on the Kansas City sideline or rooting for them at home somewhere, they desperately need a big defensive play, a turnover. They can't afford to watch the Cowboys get it into the end zone, and I don't believe they can afford a field goal here, Dick.
A field goal would make Kansas City's job 2 touchdowns plus at present time, 13-point difference. Hill, who was out 4 games, having a big game today. That's the score. Len Berman gave you that last Seattle touchdown pass by Craig to pull the Seahawks within 6 with time remaining at Denver. Ron Springs. And just when you're thinking Dorsett, Ron Springs. Now he has over 450 yards rushing this year, and he gets 18 more on this carry.
Tom Landry has said the brightest spot in this year's Dallas Cowboy roster is on this young man's name. Ron Springs has developed in this season into an outstanding runner, a most outstanding pass receiver, and you see right there how valuable he can be as he just exploded. Looked a lot like Dorsett on some of his big runs.
He did indeed. He's only 2 yards shy of 500 yards rushing, complimenting Dorsett, who's over 1,000 yards. First and goal. Tim Newsome gets a couple of yards. A 231-pounder from Winston-Salem State. Mike Bell matched his weight as he hit him with his 250 pounds. White Bell from Colorado State. He played 1 year behind Bubba Baker, another outstanding defensive end.
You look at his hands, how he's got each of those fingers individually taped on those hands. I asked him about that earlier, and he said he held his hands out for me in the locker room, and he got fingers going all different directions. I said, I don't blame you for taping those fingers.
Look like old catchers.
Yep.
Second and goal. Wide open. Newsome. But he couldn't handle the ball. And one of the reasons, Albert Lewis, number 29 from Grambling, a 3rd-round draft pick. Grambling in the last couple of years. Well, Everson Walls played at Grambling and then now with Dallas. James Hunter, other Grambling defensive backs. There's Lewis.
Lewis actually backed Walls up as a sophomore at Grambling, was backing him up in the same position, and they are really high on that young man. He's not playing more right now because they want him to learn the system before they really put him under the gun. But Bud Carson is really excited about it.
Interesting nickname, Snow, down at Grambling, Snow Lewis, because he blankets the receivers. 3rd and goal. Newsome, touchdown. Quite a play call by Landry, going to the draw on 3rd and goal from the 7.
Landry anticipating an all-out pass rush, and that is a smart call. It's so tough down in this tough territory to get the yardage throwing the ball because everyone's playing zone down there, and there's no room to work. He simply hands it off on a little draw play, and Timmy Newsome did the rest.
Newsome's 2nd rushing touchdown, 5 touchdowns overall this year as a complimentary player. Septien hooks it through. And with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left, Dallas builds its lead back to 34-14. 66 yards in 8 plays. Field goal. Dallas takes over. 3 minutes plus. They go 66 yards, and Timmy Newsome 7 yards for the touchdown. You worked with Mr. Hope, and we didn't tell him what time to watch that show. It's good company. I think he's got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and others to open the doors.
Joe Theismann went back to Notre Dame with it.
Deep kick, and Kansas City. Anthony Hancock will kneel and take the touchback at the 20-yard line. 34-14 Dallas, and the 34 points, the most allowed by Kansas City's defense this year. This was the offensive line when we started today, and Todd Blackledge now comes in, the #1 draft pick of Kansas City out of Penn State, where you see he set a 41 touchdown passes, was a record with the Nittany Lions. He comes in under a makeshift crew in front of him. Rich Baldinger is in, first-year player from Wake Forest. Kirchner is a backup, a rookie. Simmons is playing because of the injury to Condon. Rourke is in for Herkenhoff. Boy, this is really a backup line in front of Blackledge. Incomplete, and a penalty flag down. I believe that's going to be against Bates for holding the Otis Brown. Short yardage, but Kansas City will take the 5-yard penalty.
Pass interference, number 51, defense, first down.
Anthony Dickerson. Dickerson is not having that greatest season at this moment. Started the year very hot, but in the last few weeks has not played good football. And you see him right there. We had a hammerlock on Theodis Brown. The officials whipping the yellow flag out.
Plus 3 yards on the interference. It'll be first down at the 23 for Blackledge, who has thrown 5 passes this year, completing 4. Draw play, and Ken Thomas thrown to the mat by Bill Bates.
Sometimes the call takes care of the action. It certainly did on that particular play. Billy Bates coming hard from his defensive backing position. Dickerson blitzing as well, and the two of them were right in the way of that draw play. There's no chance on that play, Dick. It was interesting what was said to us about young Todd Blackledge getting into this ball game. He said, I don't think I'm going to have to put that quarterback in all year. I want him to learn without having to play, but he's put him in there in this ball game, Dick.
Well, against the Cowboys, a team he may face many a time before his career's over. Oh, what a catch. Ken Thomas, what a one-handed catch out to the 30-yard line. I can't recall a half where we have seen more outstanding catches by a single team, Kansas City.
And he's also learning about what kind of a price a young quarterback has to pay as he gets the ball off here and takes this spear inside. Don Smirek, number 60, wiping him out. But the young man has the cool, has the eyesight, the ability to spot the receiver. What a great catch, though. You're right. That's Ken Thomas, Jarrell Thomas's brother. 2 sets of brothers on the field today.
Third down, about 3. Whoa! Blackledge able to recover the snap, and Michael Downs right in on top of him. As the snap was low, a tough chance for him, and Jim Arnold, the punter, will come in.
Low snap. He just could not handle it. I'm sure his concentration was downfield, as it must be, but he did save the loss of the football. Got down on it. You see him holding his ribs a little bit. I think maybe that's the reason that John Makovic took out Bill Kenney. He doesn't want to get him hurt in this game and doesn't feel that they're going to be able to bring it back.
Well, especially with so many supporters. His offensive lineman injured. A good kick by Arnold. Gary Allen at the 33, the 40, the 50. One man to beat, the punter. Touchdown! Yards for Gary Allen from the University of Hawaii.
Tremendous run. Picked up just a couple of weeks ago off the waiver wire. Made a costly mistake last week, but comes right back with a very big play. No chance for Arnold to pick him up. Jake's trying to catch him right there. Ken Thomas finally gets a hand on him, but he dives into the end zone for 6 points. Rafael Septien to put the 7th up.
return for a touchdown this year. Gary Allen, his first professional score.
A back to pass for Seattle. As he drops back, he steps out of the end zone. That's a safety, a big safety for Denver. They now lead it by 8, 35-27. A minute and a half left. Back to you, Dick.
All right, Len Berman. And it appears Seattle will move into second place behind the Raiders. 2 games behind the Raiders. You see Brad Buddy on crutches on the sidelines. The brilliant young starting guard of Kansas City. That does not look good.
It would appear that Denver, you said Seattle. I think you were saying Denver.
I meant to say that, of course. Denver looks as if with an 8-point lead, they'll win that game. They'll be 7-5, 2 games behind the Raiders. Trying to do too much at one time is Hancock. He's to the 30 and a good return. Reminder on NBC tonight, stay with us. First camera will follow our report here from Texas Stadium. The last punt return for a touchdown for Dallas. Golden Richards, 63 yards. Make that 43 yards against Philadelphia in 75, although Charlie Waters returned a block punt for a touchdown in 77. The Otis Brown to the 32-yard line. Well, in case you happen to be out today, wandering what's happened, well, in the late games, the Redskins are also winning big, and apparently it'll be Dallas and Washington even at 10-2. Denver has moved out now to a 35-27 lead, an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter. San Francisco has regained the lead against Atlanta, 24-21. Those are the late games, along with this one.
Mark Tuinei getting some flying time in place of Randy White over there, and Mark Kirshner has got to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief as Randy goes to the sideline.
Todd Blackledge, a Phi Beta Kappa. And he figures the best course is to give it to Theodis Brown, and that'll be short of the first down by plenty. It'll be about 3rd and 5. These are all finals. We'll just run them through. We've given them to you many times, so pick out the scores of interest. Been some whitewashes today. There were 4 shutouts in the National Football League. Big upset was the Minnesota win at Pittsburgh. And Detroit coming from well behind to beat Green Bay. And you're up to date. 3rd and 5. Or that's Stephone Paige, a first down at the 43, an 8-yard throw by Blackledge.
Dick, I mentioned the reasoning, and I'm trying to climb into the head of John Makovic on the sideline for taking his quarterback off the field. But there's another good reason to put young Todd on the field, to give him some playing time, to test him against one of the better defenses in the NFL, and to let him find out a little bit more about this professional game. What Makovic said is, I don't believe it's right to take a rookie quarterback and say, here's the job. I think they've got to learn, and the best way to do that is by being able to watch for a year and being able to apprentice.
And Blackledge 3 for 3 in relief. Caught by Hancock at the 50-yard line, and he now appears to be hurt, and a flag is down. Hancock limping back onto the field of play.
And no question about the strength in young Todd Blackledge's arm. He really has a gun.
Blackledge, whose father is an assistant coach with the Pittsburgh Steelers, interestingly, and he'll call Dad and say, you know, here's what's going on. Dad will give him advice.
Number 32, defense, first down.
And I would guess Papa's watching right now, and he might make the call tonight himself.
Certainly so, and I'm sure one of the things that has helped this young man is to know that his father appreciates the coaching decision made by John Makovic to let him learn the game a little bit before he has to go in against defenses at the beginning of the game.
First down. Incomplete. Theodis Brown. He's dropped a couple now. Standings now in the AFC West. The Raiders winning. Denver apparently will win. 2 games behind. Seattle in trouble at 6-6. Kansas City, their dim hopes now at 5-7 with a loss here against Dallas, and San Diego belted by St. Louis. Incidentally, the Cowboys 41 points. That's the most they've scored since a very memorable Thanksgiving Day for us, Merlin. Remember when they beat Seattle 51-7 here a couple of years ago?
We remember that one, don't we?
And meanwhile, it's Dallas and Washington in that dogfight. And of course, they play each other in the final game of the regular season. Home field advantage at stake in that battle. Henry Marshall here's to have a first down at the Dallas 41. Dickerson made the tackle.
One thing we can definitely say is that John Mackovic has an imaginative passing offense, and I'm sure that if you were talking to him right now, he would say, and I wish we had some running to go along with it. It's been the lack of their running game that has really put them against the gun. Very, very difficult for them to come out and go head-to-head with these Cowboys when they don't have the kind of running that they need to balance out their offense.
And the problems now for Kansas City and for Mackovic is to get healthy people ready for next week. Obviously, he's been hit hard in the offensive line. Buddy injured. You saw Herkenhoff cutting off the tape. He's out with a hamstring. Stephone Paige stepped out of bounds at the Dallas 23-yard line. Another first down, 18 yards on the play. It's 41-14 Dallas here. Let's go to NFL 83 for a report.
Dick, here's the play of the Dick.
The Atlanta Falcons, who did not play well on Monday night against the Rams, and they knock off San Francisco today. How about that? On first down, Blackledge hits his man again. This time it's Lawrence Ricks, who was an all Big Ten #2 rusher last year at the University of Michigan. Ricks, who was drafted by Dallas in the 8th round and released and picked up by Kansas City. Bill Kenney apparently not hurt, but given a breather, and Blackledge playing now as Denver has defeated Seattle 38-27. So Denver in second place in the West, 2 games behind the Raiders. Atlanta on a Hail Mary, as you heard Len Berman, as you saw, 28-24 beat San Francisco. So San Francisco 7-5. The Rams are losing. They're 7-5. New Orleans could move into a first-place tie with a win tomorrow night at home against the Jets. Blackledge was leveled from the backside by Michael Downs, and in a 41-14 game, a little bit unkind. Boy, they're coming after Blackledge. They're just saying, just to remind you, you're in the NFL, big boy.
They certainly hit him. He took a little bit too much time getting this football off. Starts the throwing action and needs a little quicker release on that one, as Michael Downs had a head right on his shoulder and pushed him down to the ground. The ball going askew. No chance for a reception there, but he's shown us some fine passing here.
3rd down and 3. This is Theodis Brown out of bounds with a first down at the 12-yard line. 2 minutes and 46 seconds left. Well, along with our NFL activity, of course, the activity in the collegiate ranks winding down, and the bowl matchup picture is pretty well in frame. Fiesta Bowl here on NBC. The Panthers and the Buckeyes, and that'll open our triple header on January 2nd. Bowl, Nebraska and Miami for the national championship on the night of January 2nd. What a lineup here on NBC. Blackledge, he threw to a man who had 2 white jerseys all over him. Carlos Carson. Downs and Fellows well covered. The rest of the bowl picture, the sugar, it's off.
See if Blackledge can find a little room to pick this one up.
We welcome those of you who have seen the Denver Broncos defeat the Seattle Seahawks. Here it's all Dallas. Blackledge of Kansas City. Is it a good catch? No, he was out of bounds. Stephone Paige, he said, my legs just weren't long enough. I did everything right, but I just couldn't lean that far out of bounds and pull it home. Dallas led at halftime 20-0. Then to 27-0. Kansas City made a run, a couple of Carlos Carson touchdown catches, 27-14, and Kansas City had the ball deep in Dallas territory after that, missed a field goal, and then Dallas has come back to score, and then another one on a punt return touchdown. It's academic now, 41-14, as Paige just narrowly missing a touchdown catch.
What a great play. Great concentration. That young man is going to open some eyes if he continues to play that way.
3rd and 10 from the Dallas 12. Todd Blackledge, the #1 draft pick. And a flag down as Blackledge is leveled by Michael Downs, and it's almost as if Downs has a vendetta. I don't know, maybe they didn't.
Actually, Downs leveling the receiver, I think, on that one, Dick. We got Dennis Thurman, I think, was the man inside. And the Cowboys continue to blitz. Boy, they have thrown everybody in the world into that.
Number 26.
Why would you do that when you're ahead 41-14? They've got the game won. Why would you come so aggressively after the quarterback?
Well, I don't think you want to slow up. And you got a lot of people in this game who are getting a chance to play who haven't been in there. Dennis Thurman coming in hard on Blackledge. Blackledge getting the pass off, but was not well thrown. Downs could not tell if his man was in position, came up and bumped him. They've got a 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. See if they can get it in.
Thomas and Brown behind Blackledge. Kansas City has not run the ball well. And Blackledge, touchdown. He was not in the grasp of the tacklers, and wait, now a flag goes down.
A question perhaps of linemen downfield. Let's see what they have.
Yeah, the ball was eventually caught by Henry Marshall, but we'll see if a lineman was.
What an alert play, though, Dick. What an alert play as the young man just had all the cool in the world.
There is no touchdown. There's an illegal formation offense.
What a shame.
Well, it takes nothing away from his effort.
No, it doesn't. You fight that hard, though. You'd like to have the reward that goes with it. Take a look at it for yourselves. Tremendous pressure. Angelo King, 57, gets the first piece of him there. Number 40, Billy Bates, gets a hold of him there, and he quickly brings that football up and puts it in the hands of Henry Marshall. Celebrating? No, you don't. Come on back. You got to move it back 5 and try again.
So from the 7-yard line, with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left, Kansas City trying to boost their scoring total to 21. They trail 41-14. They gave Dallas a bit of a scare late in the 3rd quarter, but Dallas back here in the 4th quarter. A 67-yard punt return for a touchdown by Gary Allen. Timmy Newsome with a 7-yard run. Been a big day for Tony Dorsett. A couple of dazzling touchdown runs. 41-14. Fans may be a bit more enthusiastic than some of the rest of the folks here in Dallas because the Redskins are playing brilliantly. Apparently both clubs will be 10-2. The Dallas schedule with 4 games left after this one. They play the St. Louis Cardinals, Dorsett and company, on Thanksgiving Day. Then at Seattle, Washington, and at San Francisco. So they'll get their chance against Washington. And that game, Berlin's almost more important than a playoff game because the winner probably will have home field. The loser will be on the road the entire playoffs.
And it's tough on the road in the playoffs.
Of course, that presumes both will continue to win. Blackledge broken up neatly by Ron Fellows. It'll be 2nd and goal for Kansas City. Well, what does it take now? Things have sorted out pretty well. Take some pretty good guesses as to the playoff teams. Obviously, Dallas and Washington will be 2 of them. What are the characteristics that make for good playoff activity?
Dick, I think there are 3 things, basically. First, you've got to have your people healthy. You've got to have your big hitters in your lineup. You can't have them on the sideline hurt. Second, you need balance. That means playing good defense, good offense, and having good special team people. And third, you have to have big play people. You have to have big play people to win in the playoffs.
Well, Dallas and Washington certainly would qualify under that list of characteristics. Just off the fingertips of Willie Scott, the tight end, who has 4 touchdown catches this year, but has been quiet today against Dallas.
Todd Blackledge getting his shots on the field. Doing a good job getting his team down there. Would like to close out this drive with a touchdown. Makovic watching and talking to Bill Kenney. And again, we mentioned it. He didn't lift Kenney out of the ball game because he was not playing well. Kenney has played well in this game. He lifted him, I think, 2 reasons. First, because he was afraid he might get hurt with that makeshift offensive line. And second, because he wants to give young Todd Blackledge a chance to play.
3rd and goal from the 7. Touchdown, Kansas City, and leaping high as Blackledge Blackledge was leveled low.
That's Paige. Stephone Paige.
Stephone Paige. He has made 3 of those great catches in this half.
Literally went up and stole that football. Just leaping up over the... You want to watch a great reception. Just watch Stephone Paige. Now he's got a lot of action here. Ron Fellows, 27 going up. 25. Rod Hill right there with him. Just went up and snared that football. That's great football, Dick.
What do they say in those scouting reports? Can he catch in a crowd?
Can he ever? And you see the relief. They didn't even get a great shot on him. Had a chance. What a nice confidence builder for Todd Blackledge.
His second touchdown throw and Page's second touchdown catch this year. Lowery adds on the extra point, and it's 41-21. Blackledge with the heat from downs again. Well, he can only hope.
He looks over to the sideline. You know who he looked at? Looked at the official to see if the heads were in the air.
Today at Three River Stadium. That's our Thanksgiving Day special at noon Eastern time. There's a little chip shot. He wedges it down and out of bounds, and he'll kick it over again at the 30-yard line. Elsewhere in the West, the surprise is Atlanta on a desperation touchdown play knocks San Francisco back into a tie for first with the Rams, who are losing to Washington. They're both 7-5.
Kicking team, we have free kick out of bounds. We'll disregard the free kick out of bounds and accept the offside and re-kick the down.
And
kicking the ball.
In the Central Division, Pittsburgh leads Cleveland by 2 full games. There's the AFC East. Miami having a big day, Don Shula's club, but they still lead by only 1 in the East. Pittsburgh's lead cut to 2 over Cleveland. The Browns with a very big win at New England today to look for at least a wild card spot. How did you fellas get all that put together already? That's nice to be brought right up. And there's the West with the Raiders ahead of Denver by 2.
You were just giving them that information, weren't you? They must have been writing it down as you were giving it to them.
I couldn't type that fast. How do they do all that magic? Lowery with everybody lined up close, and he does the same thing. A high little chip shot taken by Rod Hill, and he's running for home. He's going to Western Kentucky State with that one. At the 2-minute warning, minute 59 left. Here comes another fantastic finish.
Pass play. Bradshaw scrambles right and unloads a desperate pass. There's a collision, and the ball is scooped out of midair by Franco Harris, who completes the amazing touchdown play. The immaculate reception beats Oakland 13-7.
For the past was his football home the last 2 years as the quarterback coach under Tom Landry. Getting his first opportunity as a head man in the National Football League. He's done a solid job. His team came in here 5-6. Only a couple of missed field goals, and they've been 7-4. Could have beaten the Raiders twice. Todd Blackledge, he's showing the wound from one of those hits from those blitzes that Dallas was throwing at him.
The last time we saw Michael Downs come in, Downs brought his helmet up underneath, hit Todd in the chest, and I think split his chin open. Trainer's working on him. We got a brief glimpse of that on the sideline, but 2 minutes left in the game. Landry's made a lot of changes. Here's one of them.
Central Michigan Chippewa. Danny White has been replaced by Gary Hogeboom. He's 3 for 3. He's seen very little duty this year, which is interesting in that early in the summer, Newsome with a carry. Cherry knocks him out of bounds short of the 50. When we were here for the preseason game, Dallas and Pittsburgh, Merlin, you'll recall at that point, Dallas had just broken camp. And at that point, there was still some doubt as to whether Danny White or Gary Hogeboom would be the #1 quarterback with Dallas.
Well, Dallas has had the legacy of having good quarterbacks in the backup positions. Certainly Danny White had to wait many years for his chance to play behind Staubach. Hogeboom now waiting for a chance to play behind White. Interesting news, scuttlebutt out of the locker room that Glenn Carano won't be waiting, that he's bound for the USFL.
So Dorsett, he has obviously been a key factor. Dallas has had the runner, and Kansas City has not. 2nd and 2. Robert Newhouse. Fumble. Loose ball. And Daron Cherry picks it up for Kansas City. Newhouse. Something he didn't do very often when he was a regular fullback with the Cowboys. Fumbling, and Kansas City will get it at the Chief 42-yard line. Well, we have a moment, and Blackledge is sent on. You see the Dallas sidelines. Jim Myers, Ermal Allen, Ernie Stautner, Jerry Tubbs. They'd been on Landry's staff. Well, Myers and Allen's in 62, Stautner, Hall of Famers in 66. Tubbs was the player, first Dallas team in 60. Stallings from 72, and we mentioned Gene Stallings, rumored as being the top choice as the new head coach for the Houston Oilers next year. There's Gene, and we also mentioned that he was the man who had more time as assistant coach in the NFL. Heck, he's fifth on the Dallas Cowboy roster, and we want to make sure that Myers, Allen, Stautner, and Tubbs, who have been with Landry so long, Gilbrand also on the sidelines. Boy, that's a sign of this organization. They kept their people. They must do a lot of things right. No play.
Too much time. Dick, along with that same thought, you mentioned earlier the thought of this team being sold, and one of the great concerns is what that will do to this organization and this team. But I understand from talking to Tex Schramm that one of the main concerns of Clint Murchison is that this team pass in a way that will not affect the ownership and will not affect the solid organization that has allowed the Cowboys to, well, to really have so many great years back to back.
There's Tex Schramm.
We can see a little bit of light popping right off the top of his head there.
Texas has done a tremendous job. General manager, vice president. Flags down. And many folks have decided to go home and make their plans for a big week ahead. Thanksgiving Day. And we do hope that you'll accept our invitation to be with us early on Thanksgiving Day. You folks in the West Coast, 9 o'clock is the wake-up call for NFL 83, as you'll see the Lions and the Steelers. And that game now is of import, as the Lions are only one game behind Minnesota in their fight to make the playoffs, and the Steelers protecting their two-game lead in the East.
Offside, number 79, defense, first down.
I guess we're not going to go up to Turlock this year and look at the turkeys like we did a couple of years ago. That was quite a memorable experience. Hey, first camera and Kennedy part 1 to follow us here. Sorry, our game's running a little late. If you've tuned in to see first camera, stay with us. We'll switch you as soon as this game is over. Meanwhile, it's the Todd Blackledge show for Kansas City. He goes deep to Carlos Carson, who steps out of bounds at the 40, and Carson has had a big day. He says, hey, wait a minute now. I didn't get even a nibble on the Pro Bowl balloting last year, yet I had as many catches as John Jefferson, John Stallworth, and look at his numbers this year. He started with 52, and he's got 7 more today.
135 yards just in this ball game, had a better average per catch, and yet didn't get mentioned on a single ballot. And I'd have to say that's not fair, Dick. And one of the things you have to remember, it takes a while to establish yourself as a great player in this league, and sometimes your name stays on the list a little longer than it should. It's kind of like a champion fighter. You've got to be better than he is to take him in a close fight.
That's a nice analogy. Well, Carson will get some notices this year. Blackledge. Did Harvey Martin read that one well? He just followed Lawrence Ricks across the field, hoping that Blackledge would throw it to him, and Martin, as soon as the catch was made, was all over Ricks for a loss.
Harvey pleased to have something go right for him this week. It's not been a good week for him.
Well, Blackledge uses a timeout with 1 minute and 16 seconds left. Blackledge out of the shotgun. Complete to Henry Marshall. And Marshall has a first down at the Dallas 28-yard line. Ron Fellows made the tackle. Timeout is called for, however you want to figure it. For Holmes, at least, it's for the heavyweight championship.
Todd Blackledge, Dick, has already got 102 yards passing in this ball game, and 337 yards by Kenney, a total of 439 yards passing, and now you have a little better appreciation, a little more appreciation for the fact that this Cowboy team ranks 26th in the NFL against the passing game. That number may take them even lower in the rankings than they were.
Well, that's got to concern you, wouldn't you think, if you were a Dallas Cowboy fan or coach going into the playoffs, that kind of yardage against your team defensively?
When I talked about balance and the importance of balance, there's no question that one of the things that Dallas opponents will attack is that defensive secondary. And if you have a running game to go with a good passing game, you can make life miserable for this Dallas defense. I'm sure that one of Tom Landry's concerns when he sits down to look at this ball game tomorrow will be for the amount of yardage that his team has given up to the passing game, even though they're comfortably winning this game.
NFL report will follow. 1:02, incredibly long game here from Texas Stadium. The Cowboys have played the longest games of the year all season long. 41-21 the score. Oops. There was contact by Larry Bethea and before the snap, and that'll cost Dallas 5 yards. Well, hey, Jerry Mark writes into overtime. These officials here, they've got over a half-hour overtime already.
Todd Blackledge using it, interesting, and even at a time like this, the last thing in the world you want is a penalty if you're on the Dallas sideline.
Defense, second down.
But Blackledge using his voice, and of course they've been listening to Kenney all night long, using his voice to pull that defensive team off sides, and apparently learned that trick in his college days. He's used it effectively here. There are his numbers. Very good numbers in the amount of time he's been in the ball game.
Well, he still hasn't thrown an interception. He was 4 for 5 with a touchdown, no interceptions prior to today. Down the middle, and this time Paige can't come up with one of his circus catches. But he has shown us that he has talent. He's from Fresno State, the youngest of the very young team, 21 years of age. That must have been some passing game. They had Ellard, top pick of the Rams, and Paige on the same club last year as graduating seniors.
Dick, talking about young players, this is the time of the year that they begin to feel the length of the NFL season. They've already gone well beyond the college season. And because of the strike last year, we really have 2 sets of rookies that have never gone through a full NFL season. And I think that's maybe one of the things that happened to the Colts, one of the youngest team in the league, who lost badly today. And I think other teams with a high percentage of young players are going to begin to have real trouble at the end of this season.
That's right. The normal college season, 11 games, maybe 12 with a bowl game. Play was made by Michael Downs. He's been in the backfield of the Chiefs the entire second half. He's a free agent safety from Rice.
Watch him get up high enough to look a little bit like too tall on this one. Stretches out, spikes the ball away. Todd looking for that ball. Don't know exactly what he would do with it if he caught it. Can't throw it again. Probably doesn't want to run it.
You know, we prepare for games like this. We try to have extra things to show you. Well, we've gone through it. We burned up everything, but we do have the 1984 NFL schedule for you, so don't go away. We have a few more penalties or timeouts. We'll give you that. But we pretty well have given you our basic information. Although Merlin's still typical of his homework, he has 10 more items that he would like to discuss with you. So stick around after class if you'd like. Blackledge hit again. And Rod Hill, he thinks he intercepted the ball, and it looked as if he should get it. But it was a quick whistle, and they say no.
Dick, you were wrong. You know, there is something that we didn't put up.
What's that? What is that?
Well, we'll show you in a second here. Now, a lot of people don't know what they want to do when they're young children. This is a baby picture of Dick Enberg.
That's not, but I better not.
It's been a long second half for the Chiefs. They started it excitingly, and it's deteriorated rapidly for them. Cowboys just want to get it finished here.
That's a play we used to work on up at Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Gary Hogaboom down to that one knee. Did it with style. You notice how he eased his way down. He didn't just fall on it. He kind of eased into that play, and they'll wait till mark it after it says 30. And now we can say the game is over, except for those final 28 seconds. They don't have to run a play.
First time all season long the Cowboys have led wire to wire. They've been behind in every game they have played this season until today.
We thank everyone again. We thank those of you who stayed with us right to the final gun. The Dallas Cowboys and Washington Redskins remain in a tie for first place at 10-2. Kansas City goes home 5-7. Tom Landry's club, a very impressive from gun to gun. They have led at halftime 20-0, and they win it 41-21. Dick Enberg for Merlin Olsen. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you on Thanksgiving, and now stay tuned for the Budweiser NFL report after these messages.
start. Before we send you the first camera, let's run down all the scores as they happen today. The Raiders on the last play of the game, a Chris Barr field goal knocking off the Bills 27-24. Miami shutting out Baltimore 37-0. Minnesota stopped Pittsburgh's winning streak 17-14. St. Louis big over San Diego 44-14. And in overtime it was Detroit over Green Bay 23-20. When we come back, more scores. We'll show you the miracle play as Atlanta beats San Francisco right after these words from Budweiser. Shuts out New England. Final there, 30-0. Giants finally win a game over Philadelphia. Cincinnati beat Houston 38-10. Chicago shut out Tampa Bay. The game you saw, Dallas big. Washington keeps pace beating the Rams. Denver knocked off Seattle. And the play of the day, if not the play of the year, we'll be seeing first camera, then...
This is the album. This is the beat. Dancing madness goes straight to your feet. I'm dancing. It's hot. It's feeling fascination. It's smooth. Dancing madness is in the groove. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. Outrageous. Dancing madness, the album's new and it's in stores for you.
Looking for a safe, proven way to lose weight? Don't be confused. Look for America's largest professional weight loss organization, Nutrisystem. Nutrisystem has helped thousands in all 50 states lose unwanted pounds under professional supervision. It's the only program that offers delicious, satisfying Nutrisystem meals. The program that gets results like these.
Being overweight was a problem of mine for years. I tried lots of ways to lose weight. Until I found Nutrisystem, I gained every pound back, sometimes more. With this program, I lost 51 pounds in a few months, and I've kept it off. I think the food is very good and really filling. And I've learned a lot about food and nutrition, too. If you want to lose weight, do what I did. Call Nutrisystem for a free consultation.
For a free, no-obligation consultation, call this number or see the white pages under Nutrisystem.
Whatever the sport, Terry McDermott has it covered. Weeknights at 5:30 and 10 on News 13.
Eight is Enough will return in a moment.
Here comes one of the most delicious breads you'll ever taste. It's Pillsbury Quick Bread Mix with wholesome fruits and nuts. There's cranberry bread, carrot nut bread, date bread, all from Pillsbury Quick Bread Mixes. All easy to make, 3 minutes from box to oven, 1 second from plate to mouth.
The freshest ideas are baking at Pillsbury.
For over 100 years, Gold Medal, the #1 flour, has been helping people bake one delicious success after another.
Taste the success of 100 years. Cookies and cakes that bring on cheers. Taste the success of breads and pies and happy sighs. Taste the success of 100 years. Feel the confidence of all those years. Gold Medal.
Bake with it. Taste the success.
We've got to touch you and Channel 13. We've got a way of doing things here in Albuquerque today. A certain style, a certain flair that comes through every day. We've got the touch, you and Channel 13.